Have you ever heard this before?
I've read the but I don't know if I remember.
Which character? Okay, yeah, this must be
I can see that from here.
it. This is it.
Oh, there.
We could move the
Right, we can mark it with
No, no,
We also have these on sale today too. Get out of hell free cards.
I'll take one.
I might do one. It's my last one. I need to get out. So this is there was a statement by Bhakti-Siddhanta Maharaj. He wrote this down once about, he was given a class at some place, Mindapur, someplace in India, Bengal or somewhere, and the river just over-flooded the local town, and people were putting things back together again. So he said that if there's ever another inundation like this, he says, you can't bring any of your stuff with you. So what you should do is carry your Bhagavad-Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Caitanya Bhagavaat-the. And if you have to give up one thing, give up the Bhagavad-Gita so you can keep floating. He says you have to give up another book, give up Srimad Bhagavatam, but never give up the Caitanya Bhagavaat. So that these two books, Caitanya Bhagavat and Caitanya Bhagavaat, are probably my favorite books of all. And I remember Makachar when I met him when I first joined the temple, I was talking about Krishna book and all these stories I was reading Krishna book, and those were super lively, and they still are super lively. But these pastimes, which Krishna comes in different ages for different conditions. There's a verse in Bhagavatam. Kritaya Dayato Vishnu Tridatam Yajato Makai Dwarpade Parichayam Kaloto Pohari Kirtanat. So Satya Yuga, it was meditation. In Treta Yuga, it was sacrifice.
Yes.
And then Dwarpa Yuga was deity worship, and Kali Yuga, Kaloto Pohari Kirtanat. So you compare these two processes. I was thinking about this after reading this one morning, and I was thinking how these people, they're all Paramahansas basically in Satya Yuga. Prabhupada explains this, that they were almost liberated souls. So they could do this meditation for 60,000 years, underwater, surrounded by fire.
Without stopping?
Yeah. So that was Satya Yuga, and then conditioned vice increased, and because of enmity between Vaishnavas and Brahmins and everybody in general, deity worship or sacrifice began. This huge temple sacrifices, and then deity worship began. So, but in Kali Yuga, we can't do any of these things. We can just read about them and think, how is this possible? So in this age of Kali Yuga, Lord Caitanya, this is why he's considered, him and Nityananda are considered the most merciful incarnations of all Krishna. And so they came to reclaim us, starting with us, and it starts with the devotees, and then gradually the rest of humanity is going to find out about this over the next centuries. So this process is so simple, and so I want to read this pastime. It's an amazing pastime. You all know the story about Jagai Madai. These two characters, Yamaraja, he's the one that's the superintendent of death, and his main assistant is Citragupta. So they actually have some kind of written material where they write down people's sins, and they describe the sins that were committed by Jagai Madai. And he said the scribes, these people, their job was to write these. He said it was like a bottomless pit. These two characters committed so many hundreds of thousands of sins. They would wear themselves out writing these things down. So it's actually recorded. It's actually written down. So anyway, I'll just read this. So this is what happened right after this, when Lord Caitanya struck up another kirtan. These are the super excellent pastimes of Sri Caitanya Bhagavat. Anyone who faithfully hears about them will attain the highest perfection, and so one should not doubt the truth of these statements. Lord Caitanya is the most magnificent incarnation of Godhead, and he will deliver everyone, with the exception of those who are critical of Vaishnavas and who act against the Vedic injunctions. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, if anyone up to the stature of Lord Shiva commits an offense against the devotee of the Lord, he will soon meet with destruction. Shastra is very strong in condemning offenses against Vaishnavas. Even an erudite scholar is not saved by his study, nor is a person engaged in chanting the holy name of the Lord spared punishment if he offends a Vaishnava. In the Padma Purana it is said, to criticize and find fault with pure devotees of the Lord is the most grievous offense against the holy name. O holy name, how can you bear the criticism of your pure devotees, through whom you propagate your glories? Certainly, you can never tolerate criticism of those who have dedicated their lives for propagating the Lord's holy names. Such offenders are annihilated. Our glorious Lord Gaurachandra has to deliver the fallen souls. He is the most magnanimous Lord in an ocean of mercy. He sees only one's devotional qualities and overlooks his faults. Anyone who can remain alive without rendering devotional service at his lotus feet is a great sinner. It is only by his previous pious acts that somehow his life is maintained. But what good is such an existence? Every day the demigods came to witness Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. After seeing the deliverance of Jagai-Mata, they returned the next day in a jubilant mood, discussing with one another. The demigods said, "The Lord has such unlimited compassion for the conditioned souls that he liberated even these two most abominable characters. This has given me great hope that one day I shall also be able to cross over this ocean of meshes." Yamaraja, the Lord of Death, was a daily visitor who witnessed Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. He inquired from his assistant, Citragupta, who calculates all the virtuous and sinful activities of human beings, what is the extent of sins committed by Jagai-Mata, and what would be their means of atonement? Citragupta replied, "Master, why pursue this matter? It is futile. If 100,000 or more assistants wrote for a month, they would still not finish. If you want to sit down and hear about Jagai-Mata's sins with 100,000 years, who knows how long it would take, for their numbers run into the millions upon millions. To tell you the truth, our messengers' descriptions of their sins were so voluminous that our writers felt greatly harassed, being unable to keep up with the account. When I contemplated the amount of sins that these two committed, it drove me to the brink of despair. Our scribes shed tears because of the exhaustion caused by their writing, and by thinking about how they would be able to tolerate the reaction for their sins. The bottomless pits where these records are kept will bear witness to my plight. Still, Lord Caitanya Mahaprabhu has effortlessly absorbed the mountains of sinful reactions within a moment. So you know, there's another side story. This one time when this pastime took place, his body, which was golden, it took on the gold color changed from less gold to less gold when he absorbed their sins. This is what he's talking about.
Oh.
He was taking on their sins when he forgave them. Yamaraja is an elevated Vaishnava in the embodiment of religious principles. While listening to Citragupta's description of Lord Chaitanya's causeless mercy upon Jagai-Mata, he became absorbed in a trance of love for Krishna and fell unconscious under the floor of his chariot. So there was all these demigods that watched these pastimes every day, so he was on a chariot somewhere. He was passed out. With concern, Citragupta and his assistants rushed to lift Yamaraja up. The demigods, headed by Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Anantasesha, and Narada Muni, were performing kirtan in appreciation of Lord Chaitanya's boundless mercy in delivering the two great sinners. But when they noticed that Yamaraja's chariot had stopped, the demigods came to see what was the matter. When they saw Yamaraja lying unconscious inside his chariot, the demigods were certainly astonished. Understanding the demigods' perplexity, Citragupta explained what had happened. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva could then perceive the symptoms of ecstasy in Yamaraja's body. To revive him, they began to loudly chant the holy name of the Supreme Lord Gauranga into his ear. This kirtan brought Yamaraj to consciousness, and when he got up, he began dancing like a madman. The kirtan increased in fervor, and Yamaraj matched it with his wild dancing. The other demigods became infected by this ecstatic exhibition. They joined in, being enticed by the mood of loving God. Citragupta was very attached to Lord Krishna's lotus feet, and he also joined the kirtan. Lord Shiva was so ecstatic that his clothing became scattered until last he was dancing naked. Lord Shiva's matted hair was flung up and down by the forceful movements of his body, and upon seeing this rapture, Ganesh and Kartikeya joined in. Those are his sons. Four-headed Brahma was also dancing, along with his sons, such as Bhrigu, Kardama, and Kashyapa. Devarshi Narada was dancing next to Lord Brahma, and tears were flowing from his eyes in streams. He forgot about his Veena while relishing the glories of the Lord and his holy name. Shukadeva Goswami, King Indra, Chandra, Surya, Kuvera, Varuna, and others were dancing in a state of intoxication. Their inebriation was due to drinking with their eyes the nectar of pure love for Krishna in the form of Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. Indeed, they were sporting freely with one another, oblivious of high or low positions. Indra had been cursed by Gautama Muni to have 1,000 eyes. Now he felt them to be a blessing, for he was able to see for the first time the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya. Indeed, the King of Heaven was experiencing such great happiness that he was rolling on the ground with no concern for his royal position. Afterwards, the sounds of glorification of Lord Chaitanya's deliverance of Jagai-Mata could be heard from Satyaloka down to Pataloka, never in return to their respective abodes. Thereafter, Jagai-Mata became prime examples of piety. Before sunrise, they would complete their baths in the Ganga and sit down to chant the holy name of Krishna 200,000 times daily. Out of humility, Jagannath always condemned themselves for their lowly position. Tears in their eyes, they incessantly chanted the holy name of the Lord. When memories of their former sinful ways plagued them, Jagannath fell to the ground, repentant and weeping. They cried out, O most merciful Lord Caitanya, the Savior of the fallen souls. While remembering the Lord's mercy upon them, they shed incessant tears of joy. The happiness which Jagannath experienced in devotional service made them forget about eating. The Lord and his devotees were always very kind to them, giving them hope and inspiration. Lord Caitanya came frequently to feed Jagannath, but still deep inside they somehow could not feel peaceful. Actually, right after this pastime, you know how this Srivas Angad, this courtyard of Srivas Thakur was a special place. Nobody could get in unless you were special. They brought these two characters into this kirtan right after this. So all these other great pious souls that were there, they're outside, you know, gnashing their teeth and wondering, when are we going to get to see these, you know, they hear all these sounds and the kirtan's roaring, it's going on all night, and Jagai Mati are in there. And they were the worst of the worst. So anyway, now they're feeling really repentant. So Mati especially felt greatly afflicted while remembering how he had struck Lord Nityananda, even though he had been forgiven. Mati would say to himself, I hurt Nityananda Prabhu drawing blood, and within his body resides Lord Caitanya. I am so sinful that I struck such a personality. While saying this, Mati would punish himself in various ways. Being unable to free himself from such feelings, Mati was haunted by them, so day and night he cried. Nothing else came to his mind. Lord Nityananda used to roam around Nadia in the carefree mood of a child. He was very easy to please and always happy, and he was totally free from any sense of false prestige. One day Mati came upon Lord Nityananda in a solitary place. He threw himself on the ground and grasped the Lord's lotus feet, bathing them with his tears. Mati offered many prayers in great humility, glorifying Lord Nityananda in his various incarnations. Mati said, My dear Lord, the entire cosmic manifestation is resting upon you. Your body is so soft and gives Krishna great pleasure when you expand as his bed, and he lies upon you, and yet I was so monstrous and sinful that I hurt the same transcendental body. Who is more wretched than I? Simply by remembering your form, one is freed from material bondage, and yet this spiritual body was bleeding due to my misdeed. When one's life is at risk just by a disrespectful attitude towards you, then to what depths of depravity and hell must I enter for my heinous act? While clutching Lord Nityananda's lotus feet to his heart, Mati concluded his prayer saying, The shelter of your lotus feet can save anyone from the endless cycle of repeated birth and death. You have appeared to deliver the most fallen. And dear Lord, kindly protect this fallen soul surrendered to you, for you are my life and soul and most treasured jewel. You are always inclined to forgive those who are surrendered to you. I am the most atrocious beast and offender. Kindly forgive all my offenses. Lord Nityananda smiled and said, Get up, Mati. You are my servant, and I reside in your body. Is a father disturbed in his little child if the child hits him? I accept your beatings in this parental mood. Saying this, Nityananda Prabhu embraced Mati, taking away all the miseries. Mati again fell at Lord Nityananda's lotus feet and said, I have another prayer, my Lord. You are situated in everyone's heart, and it is a fact that I have committed violence upon many living entities. I do not even remember unto whom and to how many souls I had inflicted pain. If I knew who they were, I would beg for their forgiveness, but I do not, and so it is my great misfortune that I am deprived of their forgiveness. My Lord, if you wish to be kind to me, please advise me so that I can get out of this dilemma. Lord Nityananda replied, Mati, this is my advice. Construct a bathing ghat at the Ganga, so that the residents of Nadia can bathe without difficulty. When they come there, they will certainly think of you fondly. This is also service to Mother Ganga, who takes away everyone's sins with her pure water. Standing at this bathing place and beg forgiveness from everyone who comes and pray for their blessings. In this way you will be free yourself from all your offenses. Mati took to heart Nityananda's advice. After circumambulating him several times, he departed. While constantly chanting the holy name of the Lord, Mati began constructing a nice bathing ghat on the bank of the Ganga. The people of Nadia saw this with great surprise. Mati offered prostrated obeisances to everyone that came there. Indeed, he begged them, saying, Please forgive all the offenses I have committed knowingly or unknowingly, and think of me graciously. The people were extremely happy, and they remembered Lord Krishna by seeing Mati's humility and devotional mood. Everywhere the news spread, people said, Miraculously, Yamaraja has converted Jagai Mati into good and pious men. Yamaraja is certainly not an ordinary mortal. He is truly a great devotee of Lord Krishna. Indeed, anyone who could transform the character of these two is surely the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or at least is in part representative. Only evil men ridicule and criticize it without knowing him in truth. So this is an amazing pastime. These two characters, I mean, when you read the rest of this, and it's in Chaitanya Chariot, it's in so many biographies of Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda about these two characters. There was not a sin. The only thing they didn't do was they hadn't directly offended a Vaishnava. That's what had brought the wrath of Lord Chaitanya on him. So we all know the story. You know, Lord Chaitanya brought his Sujan Chakra as soon as he heard about this blood come out of Nityananda's head, and then Jagai fell at his feet and begged him to forgive him. So that stopped the chakra. And Lord Nityananda actually fell at Lord Chaitanya's feet. He says, if you kill him, then you have to kill everybody. Because everybody's like, Jagai, what? They're all offenders. They're all crazy.